Immediately this happened, Omotola fell to the ground and died. Morenike exclaimed, "An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, a daughter for a daughter." Once upon a time, there lived two friends named Morenike and Bolaji. They were very good friends ever since childhood. People who didn't know them thought they were sisters because of how close they were. People envied their friendship and nicknamed them twins. When they were about 19 years of age, fortune smiled on Morenike and she got married to a very rich man named Ayo. Ayo loved her so much and spoiled her with beautiful things. But Ayo's family did not like Morenike because of the way Ayo prioritized her. Men of those days did not publicly display their love for their wives, but Ayo did because he wanted to raise his family in love. And so, they believed Morenike used charms on him. Ayo was a gold merchant. He was very rich and respected in the village and beyond. Morenike wanted Bolaji to enjoy the good life too. And so, she begged Ayo to tell his good friend Deji about Bolaji, and he did. Bolaji and Deji got to know each other, and in a short time frame, they got married. Deji was a powerful healer, one that was respected in the village. There was no disease he did not have the cure to. He was very rich as well, but not as much as Ayo. Few months into their marriages, both women became pregnant. Ayo and Deji were so happy. One day, as Morenike was arranging her husband's things, she came across a beautiful bead. She had never seen something as beautiful as that. She asked Ayo what it was. Our ancestors believed it had so much power, more than what money could buy. My grandfather gave it to me. It drives away evil spirits. It is called the Alagbara bead, and it costs a fortune. If anything ever happens to me, I want you to take it. It will help you start a new life. Ayo said to Morenike as she gently wrapped it and kept it back. Months later, Morenike went into labor before Bolaji, and she had a baby girl. She was named Atinuke, which means one who has been pampered from conception. Ayo loved her so much, but his family was not pleased. They wanted Morenike to have a son, but Ayo wants them to stay away from him and stop troubling Morenike. Few weeks later, Bolaji went into labor and gave birth to a beautiful girl, and they named her Omotola. The birth of their daughter brought forth wealth. Both families continued to live in peace and harmony, and a year later, the children celebrated their first birthday. However, tragedy struck. Morenike woke up one day to find Ayo lying lifeless on the bed. She screamed and the villagers rushed in to find him dead. He had died the previous night. This was when Morenike's life took a left turn. Her in-laws came and started accusing her of killing her husband. They made her drink the water used in bathing Ayo's corpse just to prove her innocence. But this was not enough for them. They sent her packing from the house as she had only a daughter and no son. It was this moment that Morenike remembered what Ayo had told her about the bead. She quietly took it and kept it under her dress, as she was not allowed to take anything apart from Atinuke's clothes. Morenike was heartbroken. She was not even allowed to mourn before she was chased out of her home. Her entire world came crashing down. She stayed over at Bolaji's place for a few weeks before she decided to rent her own hut from the money she got from her trade. Morenike picked up her broken pieces and started life all over with her daughter. Not a day passed that she did not think of Ayo, wondering what kind of life they would have had if he was still alive. All her friends began to avoid her because she no longer had the wealth. Bolaji and Morenike remained very close friends, and Morenike showed Bolaji the Alagbara bead and told her what Ayo said about it. Bolaji advised her to sell it and use the money to change her life, but Morenike refused. This bead reminds me of Ayo. Perhaps it will drive away evil spirit from this house, so I'll hold on to it, Morenike replied Bolaji. Morenike continued to work hard and Deji's wealth continued to grow. Bolaji tried for years to have another child, but it was to no avail. She tried all the herbs and treatments, but no one worked. When Omotola was about 8 years old, she mysteriously took ill. Deji was unable to heal her. He tried all the medicine he knew, but no one worked. They looked for help far and wide, but no one was able to help until they met with a very powerful juju man who told them that she was battling spiritually and that some evil spirits are trying to take her life. He told Deji and Bolaji that the only solution to their problem was the Alagbara bead. Deji was shocked. How can we find such bead? It is priceless and rare. Even if we sell all our belongings, we still would not be able to afford the Alagbara bead. Wise one, there has to be another way. Deji begged the juju man, but he insisted on the bead. Bolaji remembered that Morenike had one, and so she ran to her, fell on her knees and started begging Morenike, as that was the only way to save Omotola's life. Morenike, on hearing this, quickly ran inside and gave Bolaji the bead. Thank God we did not sell it. Take it and go and save Omotola. I'm glad I could be of help to you, Morenike said as she gave the bead to Bolaji without thinking twice. Bolaji thanked her and ran to her daughter. Immediately she wore the bead, Omotola regained her strength and started playing. It was a miracle. Deji and Bolaji went to Morenike and thanked her. They offered her money, but Morenike refused because their friendship was worth more than that. Omotola wore the bead all her life. She was instructed never to take it off or she dies. Omotola and Atinuke were very good friends, just like their mothers. They grew up to be beautiful girls in the village, but Morenike and Bolaji's friendship began to go sour. Bolaji, now living the rich and prestigious life, became proud and pompous. She no longer treated Morenike equally because of her social status and wealth. On one occasion, Bolaji asked Morenike to serve food to her friends while she and her daughter sat down. Morenike was not pleased because she considered Bolaji as her best friend and not her servant. Incidents like this continued for a while, and Morenike decided not to be attending her social gatherings again. And because of this, Bolaji held a grudge with her after Morenike expressed her displeasure. You cannot be poor and proud. Swallow your pride so you can find a helper, Bolaji said to her. This statement broke her heart, and she decided to keep her distance from Bolaji and her husband. This went on for a long time, and Bolaji never apologized to Morenike. Months later, a deadly plague came and claimed the lives of many villagers. Anyone who was bitten by the insect had less than 6 hours to live. Everyone stayed indoors that period to avoid the bite, but unfortunately, Atunike was bitten by the insect when she secretly went to see her dear friend Omotola after weeks of being apart. When this happened, Atinuke ran home in fear to tell her mother. Omotola ran back home to avoid the bite. She told her parents about it because her father had a cure, but it was very expensive. We only have 3 bottles left in case anything happens to any member of this family. Do not tell anyone that we have it. Morenike would have to find a way to save her daughter. I cannot risk giving her a bottle of the antidote. Omotola agreed, and they kept the cure a secret, not knowing Morenike and her daughter were listening to them. Morenike knocked on the door, but no one answered because they were unwilling to help them. Morenike cried and begged for a cure as poor Atinuke was dying, but Bolaji and her family shut the doors at them. Everyone in the village listened as she wept, but no one came outside to help. Few hours later, Atinuke died. Morenike wept as she looked at her daughter's lifeless body. She had no choice than to bury her. Morenike did not mind if the insect bit her. She wished for death, as her life was no longer worth living to her. She grieved and wailed, but poor Atinuke was gone. Few weeks later, a solution was found and the plague was over. A lot of people died and the villagers consoled the family of the deceased. Strangely, a chief's son had been beaten, but he did not die because Deji sold the antidote to him for a huge sum of money. Morenike felt backstabbed. She never forgave Bolaji. Each passing day reminded her of Bolaji's betrayal, and she vowed to teach her a lesson. What do you think Morenike would do to Bolaji? Leave a comment below and do not forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Okay, let's find out. The two women stopped being friends and everyone who knew what happened blamed Bolaji. But Bolaji felt no remorse. She felt what she did was the right thing to do. Few years later, Omotola got engaged and the date of the wedding was fixed. Morenike finally found a way to get her perfect revenge. On the day of the wedding, when everything was set, about the time the dowry was to be paid, Morenike came. Bolaji was shocked to see her, and she asked if there was anything she could do for her. Yes, actually, I have come for my Alagbara bead. I realized how much value it was to me, so I have come to take it. It is the only memory I have of my husband since Atinuke is dead. Please hand it over, Morenike said. Everyone was surprised. Bolaji fell on her knees and began to beg, but Morenike showed no mercy. Bolaji knew Morenike was not going to leave unless she takes it, which will cause her daughter to die. And so, she asked the guard to forcefully drag Morenike out of the house. While they were at it, Morenike freed herself and forced the bead out of Omotola's wrist. Immediately this happened, Omotola fell to the ground and died. Morenike exclaimed, "An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, a daughter for a daughter." Bolaji and Deji, on realizing what had happened, wept and regretted their actions, but it was too late. The villagers and all who heard of this were shocked, and they all blamed Bolaji and Deji for the death of their daughter. This is the end of this story. Thank you for listening to this story. Please comment what you learned below or where you are watching from. Do not forget to hit on the like and subscribe button and share this video. We love and appreciate you. See you in our next story.